When the woman woke up again, she was already on a bed indoors. She had no memory of what had happened before. Right away, she asked the classic 3 questions. Who am I? Where am I? What are you going to do to me? The woman in front of her hurried over to comfort her and explained what had happened. Your name is Anna. You accidentally fell off a cliff and have been in a coma for 2 whole weeks. But Anna was still extremely panicked, with one thought filling her mind. She shouldn't be here. She needed to leave. The woman handed her a photo album. Although everyone in the picture seemed unfamiliar to Anna, at least she still recognized her own face. Looking at the photos of herself with the woman in front of her, some of Anna's doubts were slightly eased. But immediately after, a strange man quietly walked into the room, causing Anna's nerves to tense up again. The woman was very happy at his arrival. She stood up and introduced him to Anna, saying, "His name is James, he is your husband." There are also photos of the 2 of you together in the album. James moved gently and spoke softly, afraid of startling Anna. As soon as he spoke, he told her that Dr. Henry said the children were fine. The woman from earlier is named Helen. She is our nanny. Her husband, Peter, helps us manage the farm. James looked sincere, his eyes brimming with tears. He admitted that it was because he came home so late that a worried Anna went out alone and accidentally fell off the cliff. For now, just rest and recover. Once you're feeling better, we'll sort everything out together. Anna looked at their wedding photo and started to believe what James had said, but an inexplicable sense of unease still lingered inside her, preventing her from relaxing at all. Perhaps only a hot shower could help her body and mind unwind. Anna asked Helen about the photos in the album, and only then did she learn that they lived on an island far from the city. But there was no need to worry. Helen had experience with delivering babies, and doctors would come to the island every now and then. As for Helen herself, she had once had a child, but the child had already passed away. Anna, on the other hand, was an orphan, so aside from James, the baby in her belly was her only family. Helen said frankly that everyone was looking forward to the baby's birth, and that they all had high hopes for this child. In the evening, Helen and her husband, together with James, prepared a recovery party for Anna. Anna finally met Helen's husband Peter. Although he looked serious, he still gave Anna a small bouquet of flowers. As soon as they sat down, Peter asked Anna about her health. His stern expression made it clear he wasn't interested in small talk. It felt more like an interrogation. This made Anna's anxiety intensify with each passing moment, and it finally erupted after she watched the 3 of them peel and eat lobster. She realized she didn't know these 3 people at all and immediately got up to leave. Fortunately, James had anticipated this and hurriedly took out a prepared videotape. On the screen, the scene of Anna getting along harmoniously with the 2 of them by the seaside was especially heartwarming. It also helped her finally recall something. "We have goats!" Upon hearing this, the 3 of them showed the same obvious reaction. Peter exclaimed in disbelief, and Helen forced a somewhat awkward smile. Once again, it was James who played some music and invited Anna to dance in celebration, successfully diverting everyone's attention. Life on the island was very peaceful. James would go out to sea to fish, while Peter and his family took care of the farm on the other side of the island. A crystal ball on the shore caught Anna's eye, causing her to miss the government restricted area sign in the mist. That day, Anna heard Helen at home reporting her recovery progress to a stranger. As she approached, she learned that it was Dr. Henry. James arrived soon after, and he and Helen watched somewhat awkwardly as Dr. Henry examined Anna. Fortunately, the results showed that Anna was perfectly fine. However, Helen even reported to Dr. Henry that Anna had remembered the incident with the goat. Amazed, he also advised Anna to go with the flow and get ready for the baby that would arrive in 2 weeks. Everything seemed like this island, calm on the surface, yet surrounded by raging waves beneath. Some images kept flashing back, suddenly jolting Anna awake. She couldn't tell whether it was a dream or a memory, so she tentatively suggested that maybe leaving the island would help her regain her memory. James readily agreed. Of course, but only after you've given birth. Although leaving the island wasn't possible for now, James still gave Anna a telescope so she could observe the world beyond the island. After spending some time living together day and night, Anna gradually let down her guard and began to truly accept everything in front of her, including her husband. After all, they were husband and wife. How could they keep sleeping in separate rooms forever? After a night of intimacy, Anna went outside for some air and unexpectedly saw 2 strangers coming ashore through the telescope. Aside from the people she already knew, this was the first time she had ever encountered outsiders. Anna hurried over to greet them, but when Helen saw what was happening, she reacted as if facing a great enemy and immediately sounded the alarm. Very soon, Anna understood the reason for the alarm. The 2 people before her had ulcerated skin, sharp spikes protruding from their faces, and clouded eyes. They looked utterly terrifying. Even so, they were still able to speak, asking whether this was the safe island. Frightened, Anna fell straight to the ground and kept retreating. Before she could run away, one of them was instantly shot in the head and the other was killed right after. The person who arrived was James. Helen, wearing a mask, hurried over and anxiously asked Anna if she had been touched. After seeing the blood splattered on her face, he felt like he was struck by lightning. James immediately set the bodies in the boat on fire. Helen panicked, took Anna home and scrubbed her entire body with disinfectant. Peter went so far as to burn all of their clothes along with his own. When Helen brought some pills for Anna to take, Anna finally had a chance to explain what had happened. Once upon a time, Helen had watched helplessly as her own child turned into that. For the sake of the baby in her womb, Anna had to be extra cautious. Before anything else, she needed to be quarantined and observed for a period of time. Anna had no understanding of what had just happened. All she could do was stay in her locked room every day, waiting for James, dressed in protective gear, to bring her meals. James explained the reasons behind everything. The outside world was already in ruins, with at least 3/4 of the global population wiped out, all because of this mysterious virus. Bodily fluids, physical contact, and even the air itself could all serve as means of transmission. It was only when she thought of her baby that Anna truly felt terrified. She kept checking every inch of her body, making sure there were no signs. Any symptoms? The once calm surface of the sea was disturbed. Any symptoms? The once tranquil sea was now covered by raging waves, and the peaceful days from before were gone forever. When Helen, who had come to deliver the meal, learned of Henry's sudden arrival, she hurried downstairs to greet him, but accidentally left the key on the floor with Anna. Anna used a dinner knife to retrieve the key and went out to take a look, only to see an angry Henry accompanied by soldiers. They almost executed James on the spot. Anna rushed back to her room to wait for his inspection. Fortunately, after a thorough scan and inspection, Henry confirmed that neither she nor the child had been infected. James and Helen were finally able to breathe a sigh of relief as well. There was one more piece of news. The child in Anna's womb was a little girl. Other than that, nothing else could be disclosed. All she needed to do was eat well, sleep well, and wait for the baby to be born. Before leaving, Henry left behind some medication, claiming it would help Anna sleep better. Although she insisted that she was sleeping well, Anna couldn't win against James, so she pretended to take the pills and then hid them away. The once harmonious relationship between husband and wife had dropped to freezing point. How could Anna possibly trust James to sleep beside her now? Yet James still forced himself to stay, using the excuse of taking care of her. The relentless rain outside mirrored Anna's mood perfectly. One day, with nothing else to do, she idly looked through the sweaters Helen had knitted for the child. The tiny clothes stirred a tenderness in her heart. But soon she noticed something strange. Beneath the sweater, there was another one, and then another, several in total. What kind of child would need so many sweaters in the exact same size? At last, Anna understood the source of her unease. There was something strange about this island everywhere she looked. Even the few people around her were no exception. She wasn't the type to sit around and wait for doom, so she immediately took action, grinding up the pills she had hidden and mixing them into James's porridge. But she hadn't expected James to be so cautious. He actually picked up on something off from Anna's subtle facial expressions. There was no way he would dare put it in his mouth now. He dumped the entire bowl, soup and all, without hesitation. Before dawn, Anna got up early. She tiptoed outside and made her way across the island. The government restricted area sign was especially conspicuous, further confirming Anna's suspicions. She made her way to Helen's house, determined to find out what secrets Helen was hiding. To her surprise, she actually saw a little boy with a head full of curly hair here, and the sound of a baby crying behind him startled her even more. As she walked closer, she realized it was actually a lamb. Seeing the small boat outside Helen's house, Anna had a bold idea, but unexpectedly, Helen caught her in the act and hurriedly sounded the alarm. Peter even grabbed his gun and gave chase, so Anna could only run for her life with her pregnant belly, but she couldn't run fast, so she had to find a way to create a diversion and hide. Just when Peter was about to find her, Helen found the shoes he had deliberately left behind, which finally saved her from danger. Anna never intended to run far in the first place. This was a perfect opportunity to investigate Helen's house. Soon she found the little boy hiding on the map. The boy was on high alert, pointing a gun at Anna and pressing her for answers, questioning why she had promised not to leave him but ended up leaving anyway. Anna had no way of telling. She couldn't remember any of it at all. Helen came upstairs and saw what was happening. She hurried over to calm things down, urging Anna to go back and continue with her old life. Helen said she could help cover things up and pretend that none of this had ever happened. But Anna was unwilling. She was fed up with being kept in the dark. She questioned Helen, saying that she had been told her child had already passed away. So who was this little boy? At that moment, James arrived and interrupted their conversation. He came upstairs with a gun, and upon seeing Anna, he was visibly relieved. Faced with Anna's aggressive questioning, the two could only try to calm her down, suggesting that they all sit down for a cup of tea and talk things through. But Anna still underestimated James's resolve. He took advantage of her unguarded moment and knocked her out from behind. When Anna regained consciousness, she found herself in a laboratory, her limbs tightly bound with straps, surrounded by cold, sterile instruments. Seeing James return, Anna could only plead for his help. She couldn't understand why he was treating her this way. Even for the sake of our child, you should help me get out of here. James no longer hid the truth. He changed back into his Special Forces uniform and coldly stated that the child in her womb had nothing to do with him. From beginning to end, he was merely following orders, acting out a play with everyone else. Now that the curtain had fallen, there was no need to keep up the act. With that, he injected her with the drug, causing Anna to fall unconscious once again. During this time, only Helen came regularly to perform various examinations on Anna. Yesterday, Peter, who was a bit drunk, also came to visit. He advised Anna to cherish her time on the island because the outside world had already become a living hell. He had invested so much effort in Anna, and she might even become the savior of everyone. Seeing that he was about to prepare some unknown medication again, Anna endured the intense pain and pulled her hand away, pretending to be in unbearable abdominal pain to lure Peter closer. Seizing the opportunity, she grabbed a syringe and stabbed it hard into Peter's neck. Peter fled in panic but didn't realize that the pistol he was carrying silently fell to the ground and accidentally discharged. When Anna walked over feeling guilty, she discovered that Peter had already been shot dead. Only then did she have the chance to take a good look at the laboratory. On the large screen, scenes of a woman identical to herself undergoing experiments were clearly displayed, with Helen and Peter as the ones conducting the procedures. The footage of her being locked in a sealed room and injected with poisonous gas was even more distressing for Anna. She saw herself transformed into a monstrous figure by the infection and ultimately dying. On another screen, the shocking death reports of more than a dozen infants appeared. Each was assigned a number from 1 to 17 and all had died due to a lack of immunity. To her shock, there were countless embryos preserved in formalin inside a nearby cold storage unit. Terrified, Anna continued to investigate, and inside a glowing machine, she discovered a body that was in the process of being created. Dozens of robotic arms worked simultaneously, implanting organs, stretching skin, printing bones and muscles, and connecting neural circuits. And its face was exactly the same as her own. Anna couldn't take it anymore and ran to the side to vomit. She changed into work clothes and went outside, only to realize that the place was actually hidden beneath a farm, with the night as calm as water. Anna then began to carry out her own plan. Helen, who had gone out to check the generator, was caught off guard by Anna. When James saw what was happening, he hurried to grab his gun, but Anna shot him through the thigh. Under her coercion, Helen had no choice but to tie James up tightly. Unexpectedly, this whole scene was witnessed by the little boy. Anna wasn't some ruthless killer, she was doing all this just to uncover the truth. The two brought him back to the sofa, and Helen finally had a chance to explain everything. A mysterious infection broke out worldwide, and soon humanity became extinct. They had originally researched gene cloning and transmissible intelligence experiments. The remaining military forces took them hostage and brought them to the island to continue the experiments. Helen thought this was to save the world, but never expected the military's real goal was to sell the results for a high price. Anna was the greatest achievement of their lives. Not only was she immune to the mysterious infection, but if her daughter also possessed this immunity, then humanity would truly have hope. As for Dr. Henry, he was a high-ranking official assigned by the military to monitor all test subjects and other facilities. There were as many as 96 test subjects identical to Anna, and in fact, Anna herself was not even 2 years old. As for the curly-haired little boy, he was actually from Anna's previous life. Helen rescued him and hid him in her home, raising him as her own child. Anna then asked about the safe haven, and Helen explained that there was such a rumor that some areas in the north had not been infected. Anna trusted Helen, and she came up with an ambitious plan. She planned to sneak onto the ship while the doctors were inspecting the island and take Helen and the boy to the safe haven in the north. But as soon as the two of them boarded the ship, they were spotted by 2 squads of soldiers. A gunshot immediately alerted Henry, who had already found James tied up in a room, and he immediately ordered a manhunt. After this incident, Anna, who was already about to give birth, was overwhelmed by labor pains. The baby inside her was eager to come into the world. Henry had no choice but to order Anna to be taken inside to give birth. Meanwhile, the little boy hiding in the woods was also found by the soldiers. To prevent the two from causing any more trouble, Henry actually made Anna give birth right in front of them. After a bout of excruciating pain, the child was finally born safely. The baby's loud, clear cry rang out. Whether for its own fate or for this terrifying world, no one could say. Henry immediately took the child away for experimentation. Anna, who had just finished giving birth and barely had any rest, was also taken to the laboratory along with the baby. She watched helplessly as Henry sprayed poison gas at her own child, powerless to do anything. Meanwhile, Helen's research succeeded, and after many years, a true immune individual finally appeared. But even after that, countless experiments still awaited this baby. As for Anna and the others' plan, Henry was equally interested. The kidnapped little boy was the reason they had no choice but to talk. The boy saw Alan, who was tied up, struggle with all his might to break free, but during the scuffle, a soldier's rifle accidentally discharged, and in front of Helen's eyes, the boy was taken from her forever. Henry, however, showed not the slightest emotional reaction to this. Ignoring Helen, who was overwhelmed with grief, he immediately prepared to take the child and leave the island. As for Anna, she would continue to be used as a test subject to enable the mass production of children. Next time, they had to make sure she remembered nothing at all. While being prepared for brainwashing, Anna reminded Helen that there was a handgun in the medical kit. As a mother yourself, you'll understand the struggle I go through for my child. After some hesitation, Helen agreed to her request. Pretending to take Anna to the restroom, she seized the opportunity to spring into action and took down both soldiers. The remaining soldiers heard the gunshots and rushed over to investigate, but the two women hid in the gas chamber and wiped them all out. Henry, who had been waiting for the soldiers to arrive for a long time, ordered James to go investigate, and sure enough, he saw the two men in the woods. Fortunately, Anna had a quick idea. She had Helen fire a shot to draw his attention, then snuck up behind him and took him out. When Anna reappeared by the boat, Henry had already figured out what had happened. Anna claimed that Helen and James had perished together, so Henry had no choice but to take her with him as they left. Unexpectedly, Helen showed up at that moment, gun in hand. Henry wasn't afraid at all. He was betting that Helen wouldn't dare pull the trigger. Unfortunately, he lost the bet, simply because he had no idea what kind of strength a mother who has suffered the loss of two sons could unleash. With everything finally settled, after bidding farewell to the boy, the two mothers set out with the baby on their journey to the safe island. The road ahead is long and uncertain, life or death unknown, but it doesn't matter, they still have each other for company. End of the film.